Thanks for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's 2 o'clock. I like to start on time. There's not too many attendees yet, but just to get an idea, if you could just answer for me if you have Bravo Reporting Pro currently, or if you're here to learn about what it is. Okay, excellent. So Dawn, everybody has it. One person doesn't know what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so that should give, we can just start deep diving. Before I dive in, I wanted to introduce Dawn to everybody. She is our customer success manager. And even more than that, Dawn is incredibly patient and the most amazing trainer. And she is wonderful in all things reporting related. And so she is going to give a tour of Bravo Reporting Pro, talk about some of her favorite reports, show you what you could be looking at. If you have questions, go ahead and post them in the Q&A or in the chat, and I'll go ahead and moderate those for her. And then we will also record this so that if you have managers or team members that you want to forward it along to, that will be available for you. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Dawn. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tali. I'm glad my video is not on. I'm like blushing right now. All right, everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to share the Reporting Pro with you. I'm going to share my screen so we can just kind of jump right into it. So there we go. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. And what we're looking at, obviously, if you guys have it, is the Bravo Reporting Pro. You're probably used to seeing this. One thing that I find really exciting about the Reporting Pro is they are constantly working to update it. So I counted this just before I came on. There are now 52 reports up on the Reporting Pro. I always say it's over 40, but now it's over 50. So I'm just going to scroll down so you guys can see that there are a ton of reports. If you're using the Reporting Pro, I would love to know what your favorite reports are. If there's reports you're curious about, just to let you know, you can always reach out to me. I'm more than happy to go and dive into those with you. Today, I kind of want to talk a little bit about some of my favorite reports, some of the reports that I think are key to having, and reports especially during this time to be able to monitor what's going on with your business as the world is constantly changing and just going forward in growing our businesses for the future. So one of the reports that I love, it's actually one of my favorite reports, is the transaction journal. It's at the very, very, very bottom of the list of reports. It's also located under financial reports. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see that the reports are broken out into different areas: employee, financial, inventory, loans, operational, and sales. So under financial reports, we have the transaction journal. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen the transaction journal report, but there's a lot of different ways to look at the data that you might not have thought about before. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my test store here, and I'm going to select some dates. Now this report will limit you to 1 month's worth of data, and the reason for that is because it is everything that happens in your store. Every transaction, every opening and closing of a till, every expiration, everything. It's literally everything that happens in your store. And you can narrow this report down by transaction type and then by subtype. And what I mean by subtype, if I were to go ahead and only select loans as my transaction type, then under subtype, I'm able to then see what loans were redeemed, what loans were renewed, what loans were reactivated. I can narrow this down a lot farther than just loans. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all loan types. And then narrowing it further, you can look by employee, by till, by commission employee if you're looking for sales numbers. So there's a lot of different ways to narrow down and sort through and filter out this data, because this report on its own is huge. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm going to click View Report, and it's going to take just a second here. One other thing I really like about the Reporting Pro that's a little bit different from running reports in Bravo is while the report's running in the background, I can always click back to my web portal and run a second report. So if I need to look at 2 or 3 reports, because they're on their own tabs, I don't have to wait for this report to finish. I can come back here, select another report, it's going to open in another tab, and then I'm going to be able to continue going and then go back and look at my reports after they've all run. So transaction journal. So here it is. It's opened up my transaction journal. It gives me every bit of information I would possibly need on my loans. Loan type or transaction type, how they paid, who was the customer, how much did I take in. Over here, as I go over, I can see all of the details. So for interest and fees, a lot of people are always questioning, how much did I make on interest and fees this month? This is a way we can find out really easy, one report real quick. And then I can go over, I can see which employee took it and which commission associates. So for loans, commission associates are the associates that started the loan, originated the loan. So if Michelle here originated the loan and then Fiona went ahead and took the payment, Fiona is going to show as the employee, but Michelle is going to be responsible for the commission on that. This report is real time. And what that means is I can refresh this report throughout the day and get the most up-to-date data. So if I'm running it through today, I would be able to continue to see transactions that come in for the day. So if I'm remote working from home and my store is still open and I need to go in and see what transactions have taken place, it's very easy for me to go in here and run this report, see all the transactions, all the associates. I can see which employees are doing what. I can see which tills are busy. I can see what loans, what sales, everything I need to know. It's all right here in this report. Let's go back. I'm going to leave this open and I'm going to go back. And I'm going to pull up another report that is, I think, really handy and another one you can customize maybe a little more than you realized. And that's going to be the employee commission report. So in terms of incentivizing employees and paying out commissions, sometimes that can be a little bit difficult to calculate. With this report, it makes it seamless and super, super simple. So I'm going to, again, select my store. I'm going to select my dates, and I'm going to use February for mine. Oops, that was January. It would help if I picked the right date, wouldn't it? February. Here, I can determine how much, and pardon my drop downs here, I can determine how much commission I pay for loans, how much commission I pay for retail. So let's say I want to pay on loans, we're paying commission on our service charges collected, our interest and our fees, and I want to pay 2%. All I do is type that number in, and Bravo Reporting Pro is going to calculate the rest. Same thing with my retail commission. If I want to pay, say, 5% on retail commissions, all I have to do is put that in there. Now, I had someone this morning ask me about tiered commissions for different associates. So some associates are on a higher commission rate than others. I can run this report specific for one employee by simply typing their name in here. And it's going to run it for that employee. So I can have my employees on different levels and still use the report to calculate the commissions. I can also determine whether I pay commissions on service fees. So those extra fees that you add in during the transaction, like a restock fee, or maybe you have a credit card fee, or maybe you have, I don't know, a fee for parking in your lot, whatever the fee is. If you have a fee and you do not want your associates to get commission on it, click no. If you do, click yes. I'm going to go ahead and click view report. And you can see this is for Fiona, because I ran it for just one employee. I can click the little plus and it's going to take me down to a ticket level detail of what exactly commission she would be owed for this time period. And I did that because maybe I want to pay her a little bit higher on her retail sales, or maybe I want to pay her a little higher on her loan interest. So I am able to do that employee by employee. And that's something that I had actually asked of me this morning, how can I tier my commissions? This is the simplest way. You know what employee it is, run it for that employee, print out the report, and you're ready for your payroll. If you want to run it for everybody, we're simply going to take the employee out and run the report again. And this time, everybody's going to be calculated at the same commission rate. Other questions I've had asked on this report, what if I don't want to pay commissions on loans? Then you just simply type 0. Oops, 0. It'll still show the loans that they took, but it's not going to calculate any commissions for you. So you still have a correct commission calculation over on the right-hand side. If you need to get this report to, say, a payroll clerk or an accountant, you can very, very easily download it. Right here, this little diskette allows me to download this report in any of these different formats. So I'm going to choose Excel, and it's going to come down here and it's going to download for me. And as soon as it's finished, I can open it up, and I think I'm probably going to have to reshare. There we go. So this is what it looked like when it downloaded. It looks exactly the way it looks when you pull it from Pro itself. So if I go back to the Reporting Pro, that's the way it looks on the screen. And then if I go back to my commission, this is what it downloaded for me. So I can now attach this. I can save it and attach it to an email, send it off to my payroll people, and they can get my payroll done with correct commissions that I've approved. It makes it super, super simple.
We have a question for you, Dawn.
Absolutely.
Can you quickly show how to navigate to this report?
Yes, absolutely. Again, we're going to start from, I'm going to start as though I just logged into the Reporting Pro, and it's going to put me right here at All Reports. There are two ways that I can find it. The first way is to look through the list. They're alphabetical, so you can look alphabetically and locate your report. The second would be to know that I'm looking at employee commissions, so it's going to be an employee report. So I can click on employee reports to narrow my list down and find it from there. Because I know if I'm looking for a couple reports in a list of 52, it might get overwhelming for me. So we have these on the side, the shards that we can go ahead and check and look to see. I want to see just employee reports. I'm paying employee commissions. I want to look at employee reports. Here's how I get to it. I click, and it's going to open a new tab for me. The other thing to keep in mind as you're using Bravo Reporting Pro and as you're navigating through it, you may have a few reports that are your go-tos, that you go to every single time you open up the Reporting Pro. I always look at my transaction journal. I always look at my employee commission report. I always look at my demographics. Whatever those reports are going to be in my top 10 reports. These are the top 10 reports that I'm running all the time, so I know these are my go-to key reports. I may not need to always access the productivity pro forma, but I might always need my cash flow. These are the ones that I get into the most, so if you have favorites, that's where they're going to be. These are going to just be the ones based on how many times you click it. So that's a good tip to know, just to know that you can get to your most common reports that you run day by day. Let's talk about things like a productivity report or operational reports to run your business. I'm going to click on operational here. These are the operational reports that you can run that will help you maybe get a better overview of your business. Instead of maybe a transactional level, this is going to be a more high-level view. So one of them here is key performance. This one automatically runs for me. I don't have to put anything in. It's assuming that I want to look at my last day of business. I can change that. If I want to look at the last day of business for the year 2019, I can definitely do that. But once it runs, it's going to pull company-wide all of the information that I need to get an at-a-glance view of my company and how it's running. My revenue, it's going to show a day and a month today. My loan service charges and my retail sales, my sales profit. Of course, the sales profit and the loan service charges are what's going to make up the revenue. I've got my margins. I've got my cash balance. I've got my loan activity and the changes to my loan and inventory balance. So it's a key, just an overview, high-level overview of what's going on or how my company's numbers are. And it's going to run automatically for the full company. So those of you who have enterprise stores, who have multiple stores under your operation, you can get a quick glance at these numbers without having to run 5 reports to get them. Another report that I really enjoy, I actually think it's a really interesting report, and it's a report that I think can help you kind of guide your business, maybe guide your advertising dollars, and that's going to be your demographics reports. This one is the loan by demographics. I'm going to run it for just my store here, and I'm going to run it for today's loan base. So the loan base date is my loans current active in the system as of the day that I put in. So this is as of today. These are all of my loans. And I can decide whether it's going to be loans, buys, or both. I'm going to do loans, and I'm going to run my report. And what this is going to do is this is going to give me a demographic overview of who's borrowing from me. what race are they? What sex are they? What's their age? How much are they borrowing? I even have these handy charts down at the bottom that give me this idea. If I have an imbalance in something, like I have way more females than males in my test store, then I would need, I can maybe try to figure out how to get more men in the door. Or maybe I know females are borrowing from me and I target to them. But it gives you a really great idea of who's coming in, who's borrowing, and how much they're borrowing based on different groups. And I think that's one of those really powerful numbers that we don't think about very much. And that's going to be, again, in your operational reports. Another one is the daily activity by hour. And we talk about staffing needs, especially as things change. Things change in our cities, things change in our stores, things change all the time. And we might need to adjust our staffing accordingly, but how do you know when you're busy, when everything's different? The way that you can do that is with this particular report. So I'm going to run mine for the month of February. And I just want to see last month, how did things go in my store? This is going to show me, based on date, based on time, average pawn and retail transactions by the hour. So here's going to give me my totals up here. So I can see what times are busy and I can see what days are busy. And then there's an at a glance view. It breaks it out by pawn, by retail, and by all. So if you have employees who are strictly loan employees and employees who are strictly retail employees, you know when your staffing needs are. You're able to see when those dips and curves and when those peaks are. Because if you know that 8 a.m. on a Wednesday is your busy time, then you know that that's when you need to be fully staffed, as opposed to 2 p.m. on a Wednesday when everyone can take their lunch break. It helps with the flow of traffic. It helps with making sure that your customers' needs are being met. All right.
We have another question on that one.
Okay, what's that one?
If you can show whether that includes inventory too.
Whether
this report includes inventory.
This report?
Scroll down, yeah.
So this report is just transaction based. It's just going to be at the register who's coming in and giving you money. So this is customers coming in to make pawns, pay pawns, buy items, put items on layaway. That's all this is. It's not really taking into account inventory times or turns. It's just a factor of numbers and time.
Excellent.
So,
thank you.
If you do want to talk about inventory reports, though, I've got a whole group of them right here. These are reports that you can use to kind of manage your inventory when you're away from Bravo. One of them that I like is this one, the inventory age analysis. This is your complete inventory by your store or company-wide. So you can see the entire company. It'll break it down by age and category, and it breaks it all the way down into the furthest category, the most detailed, I think they call it style on the report, but it is the most detailed category. So I can take a look at my inventory. My inventory date is as of today. I can see how much I have, so I can see how much I have in costs that I have put into inventory for jewelry or manufactured goods. And I can break it down further by clicking these little pluses, clicking it open a little bit more, and I can see how much I have in, as soon as it pulls up, gold bracelets or gold fine bracelets. And then I can see how it's aging. So I can actually scroll over and I can see that all the way out. It goes way, way out to days over 1111. So over 1,111 days. If I have old inventory sitting around, not only do I know that it's jewelry or manufactured goods, but I know exactly where to look for that. It is gold, diamond, stone bracelets. What gold and diamond stone bracelets? Well, let's look. It's just going to take a second. I apologize. And it says no style. Of course, it says no style on this one. But it will give you, like, what kind of chains? What kind of chains are sitting around and not getting sold? Why do I have them so long? How much do I have sunk into that? How much do I have in firearms at any one given time? It's right here. Well, I want to break it down. I don't want just firearms and knives. I want just rifles. Well, let's look at just rifles. If I open up firearms, and it's just going to take a second because it's pulling all of that data, and I go into firearms again because obviously it's not a BB gun, it's not a knife, it's not personal protection. I want to look at rifles. So I'm going to open up my firearms. It's quicker than and easier than trying to do an ad hoc report, and this is my entire inventory base, whether it's priced or not. This is it. It's everything here. And I can access this even if I'm not on a Bravo terminal. Here's my rifles. There we go. I have $11,000 in rifles as of today. Easy to find. Plus, if I'm talking to, I don't know, a manager and I want to know how much I have in pistols in that same store, it's right here. I want to know how much I have in receivers. It's right here. It's easy. I can also say, okay, well, I've got this much in pistols. How is it aging? Well, I can pull it out and go all the way over here to see how it's aging. I can also download this so that it's easier to read in Excel. Again, same way, right here, right to Excel, and it'll download into the same format that we're looking at it now. So I can highlight lines, I can manipulate the data, I can do whatever I need to do to manage that inventory. Another cool feature, since we're talking about inventory, is the search inventory. This one just lets you do a keyword search, which is something that's not necessarily, you have to go in and do an ad hoc report in Bravo. And if you're not on Bravo, or if you don't want to do an ad hoc report, you can do a keyword search of your inventory. I want to find everything that has to do with Remington. I type in Remington. R-E-M-N. Oh, I should have picked something I could spell, right? How about Colt? I can just do a keyword search of my entire inventory, as long as I choose my store. And it'll tell me everything that I have in that has to do with that. So you can see it right there. You can print that out. All right. Let's do just do a couple more. Let's go to financials. Financial reports, these again are going to be a top tier, top level reports. Productivity pro forma is 3 years of numbers right at your fingertips. I click the report, it assumes I'm looking for data as of today. It's going to go ahead and pull up, how did I do in 2018? How did I do in 2019? What was the change, positive or negative? How am I doing so far this year? So I can see my balance, my loans, I can see my quantities, I can see my layaway balance, my sales, my cost of goods. One report overview for the entire company. I can break it down by store if I want to, but it gives me those numbers so that I can evaluate how my business is doing at a glance, one click, real easy. Are there any other questions that anybody has? I could do every report, but it would take me a week, I think, to go through all of them. I just wanted to kind of highlight some of them that I think are really unique and awesome and useful for companies. But I want to make sure that if anyone has any questions, I answer them.
So if you have a question and you want to talk, you can raise your hand in the panel. I have Alan who wants to ask a question, so I am going to give you the mic, Alan. Let's see. Are you there?
I think so. I hit the unmute button. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, this is great. So thanks so much for all these reports. Man, I love the key indicators. You know, it's what we live on out here. And really, thanks for allowing it to go over to Excel. I don't know how long it's been able to do that. I can just say that there was a time when I couldn't get it out to Excel, and that really helps me because sometimes I just want to do a quick query, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do it in a PDF. I need it out in Excel, so that's great.
Awesome.
So what I wanted to ask, my question was, I really love the key indicators because like you're putting it right in your face, like you can't miss it and you don't have to work hard to go get it. Okay, so I love the key indicators. But one thing I was not sure of, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but I'm curious to know if your inventory level is there quickly, not to go out and get a query, but in those key indicators. And the reason is is because as owners, your money is either, in a loan or it's in your inventory. And if it's in your inventory, you need to get it out there for sale. I mean, we've got Bayou, we've got all these places that we can get our money back. That's how people are, I'm a consultant. I go out to people, I talk to them all the time. They don't have money. They need more money. And I look around them and I'm like, why don't you sell this stuff? Right. But they're not always, and I've done the same thing myself as an owner. So I'm preaching to myself. But the question is, can I quickly know where all those dollars are? And even if I could quickly see how much of them are over a certain amount of days, whether the number of days or 60 or whatever, because honestly, as things are in your store more than 60 days, they're sitting in your back room, you've got a problem and you're wanting more money, but there it is right there. And it's what I see. So that's my real question. And again, when you answer that question, knowing there's going to be layaways in it and maybe there aren't layaways in it, meaning that you have an inventory report that shows aged inventory, yet that item is actually on layaway because we might be doing the 10-10-10 program. That's fine. I'm loving that. I'm not worried about inventory I have that's on layaway getting paid. I'm more worried about dead inventory where my cash is sitting there and I'm not aware of how poorly I'm doing at managing it. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense. I think the best one for that is one we just looked at, the inventory age analysis, because it doesn't include things that are on layaway. This is just inventory that's not part of a transaction already. So this is going to be your dead inventory. If you scroll over, so if I scroll over, I'm going to just grab my little bar. I can see that these are items that are over 300 days old. These are items that are over between 390 and 420. So every column is going to give me a total amount. And if I take that back, so I'm going to look at this column, this line right here, second from the bottom, I have quite a bit of aged inventory. It says rings. Well, if I need to know exactly what kinds of rings, I can go ahead and open it up. And I can see that my biggest chunk of rings is going to be right here under gold and diamond. And I can open it up one more time and it's going to tell me exactly what kinds of rings. So these are my ladies' diamond engagement rings. Let's see if those are aging okay. I can see that I have $23,000 here. That's almost 400 days old. So, and this is a test store. Most stores aren't going to have quite this distribution, but it does give you that quick view. Like it runs for the day. This is inventory as of today. And it's showing me where my inventory, and you're going to have numbers that are going to stick out to you. You're not going to have to sort through a whole bunch. But again,
so you do dig in and that's fine. You do dig there and that's fine. So if you look at the key indicator, key performance, can you click on that tab right quick?
Yeah, let me click on that one again. So this one is going to just show me my my balance, my inventory balance, but it doesn't tell me how it's aging.
Oh, no, it is there. Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's a good number to know. So that it doesn't show me it's aging. So that just shows me everything that I have in the store, and that probably does have layaways in there, right?
This one, the inventory balance here, yeah, that should have layaways in it because
if I'm doing a great job with the 10-10 program, I could be fooling myself looking at that number thinking that I'm doing a bad job because I just have a lot of things on inventory, right?
Mm-hmm. We can also, let's see. Let's go to sales. And that's not the one I wanted.
I'm fine. I don't want to take over this whole thing.
No, that's okay. I will, you know what I'll do, Ellen, if you want to go ahead and just, you can either send me an email or what store are you with? And I can look into it a little bit further to see if there's a better report for layaways that might help you out with that.
Okay. You can pass along an email for you.
You'll email it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll look into that for you, Ellen, and then I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you so much. And again, great job on that report. It's really nice.
Awesome. Thanks. Are there any other questions?
Does anybody else want to raise your hand or ask a Q&A or post in the chat? We've tried our hardest to keep these at 30 minutes and we are exactly at 2:30. So if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Like I mentioned, we are recording this, so we'll post the recording to the Facebook page and stay tuned for tomorrow's 2 p.m. daily training session. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dawn.